The black void of space stretched endlessly in every direction as Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the New Horizon. His crew had been traveling for 6 months now, searching for traces of the lost Viridian civilization. The ancient aliens had vanished 3,000 years ago, leaving behind only ruins and mysteries that kept human scientists awake at night. Lisa Campbell sat at her communication station, her fingers dancing across the control panels as she monitored. Deep space frequencies? She was young for such an important mission, barely 28, but her skill with alien communication systems was unmatched in the fleet. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and her green eyes never left the screens that showed wave patterns and signal analysis. "Commander, I'm picking up something strange," Lisa called out, her voice cutting through the quiet hum of the ship's systems. "There's a metallic object about 2 million kilometers off our starboard side. It's big, maybe the size of a small city." Dr. Alex Turner looked up from his research station. The xenoarchaeologist had spent most of his 45 years studying dead civilizations, but the Viridians were his specialty. His gray beard was neatly trimmed, and his blue eyes held the excitement that came with the possibility of a new discovery. "Can you tell what it is?" Lisa's hands moved quickly over her. Controls, running a deep scan now. The material signature matches Viridian construction techniques. "Commander, I think we found one of their ships." Morrison felt his heart rate increase. Finding a Viridian ship intact would be the discovery of the century. Most of their technology had been destroyed or lost to time. He was a practical man in his 50s, with short brown hair going gray at the temples. 20 years in deep space had taught him to be careful, but this opportunity was too good to pass up. "Set course for the object," Morrison ordered. "All hands, prepare for possible first contact protocols." Dr. Kate Sullivan, the ship's linguist, moved to stand beside Lisa's station. At 35, she had learned more alien languages than anyone else in human space. Her red hair caught the light from the displays as she leaned forward to examine the readings. "If there are any survivors on that ship, we'll need to be very careful about how we approach them." The New Horizon moved closer to the alien vessel. As it came into visual range, the crew gathered on the bridge to see their first real Viridian ship. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. The hull was made of some kind of dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange symbols covered its surface, glowing with a faint blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Matt Rodriguez whistled softly. "That thing is at least 5 kilometers long. The power source needed to move something that size must be incredible." Matt was 32, with black hair and hands that were always stained with engine grease. He understood machines better than most people understood other humans. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Ben Carter stood with his arms crossed. At 50, he had seen enough strange things in space to be naturally cautious. His bald head reflected the bridge lights as he frowned at the alien ship. "We should be careful. We don't know what kind of diseases or contamination might be on that vessel." Morrison nodded. "Standard precautions. Full environmental suits for the boarding party." "Lisa, can you scan for life signs?" Lisa's fingers moved across her controls. "I'm reading some kind of energy signature from the central section of the ship. It's not biological, but it's definitely active. There's also what looks like a communication array. It's been broadcasting something, but the signal is very weak." "Can you decode it?" Morrison asked. "I'm trying," Lisa replied, her brow furrowed in concentration. "The signal pattern is unlike anything I've seen before. It's repetitive, like a message being sent over and over again." Navigator Amy Foster pulled up star charts on her screen. The 29-year-old had blonde hair and sharp blue eyes that never missed a detail. "Commander, according to our charts, this ship has been drifting in this sector for at least 300 years. Maybe longer." Security Chief Ryan Brooks checked his weapon systems from habit. The tall, muscular man with short brown hair was always ready for trouble. If the ship has been abandoned for that long, what's keeping the power systems running? Dr. Turner stepped forward. Viridian technology was far more advanced than ours. Their power sources could theoretically run for thousands of years without maintenance. Morrison made his decision. We're going aboard. Turner, Sullivan, and Campbell. Will come with me, Brooks. You're in charge here. If anything goes wrong, get the ship to safety. 2 hours later, Morrison and his team floated through the airlock of the alien vessel. Their environmental suits felt bulky and awkward, but the readings showed the ship's atmosphere was toxic to humans. Emergency lights cast eerie shadows on the walls as they moved through corridors filled with strange machinery. Lisa carried a portable communication device, trying to trace the source of the signal they had detected. The transmission is getting stronger. It's coming from what looks like the ship's central core. The corridors were built for beings taller than humans. Beautiful artwork covered the walls, showing scenes of a world with purple skies and silver oceans. Dr. Turner took pictures of everything, his excitement barely contained. This is incredible, he whispered. These murals show daily life on the Viridian homeworld. Look at the detail in their faces. They were a deeply emotional species. They reached the central chamber and found themselves in a vast room filled with crystalline structures that hummed with energy. In the center stood a pillar of blue light that stretched from floor to ceiling. The signal Lisa had been tracking was coming from this pillar. Commander, Lisa said, her voice tight with excitement and fear, I think this is their computer core, and it's still active. Sullivan stepped forward with her translation equipment. Lisa, can you interface with it? See if we can establish communication? Lisa looked at Morrison, who nodded. She connected her portable device to what looked like an access port near the base of the pillar. Immediately, her screens filled with alien symbols and patterns. I'm getting something, she said. The computer is responding to our presence. It's trying to communicate. Then, through the translation software, words began to appear on Lisa's screen. The voice that came through their speakers was hauntingly beautiful, with tones that seemed impossible for a machine to produce. Love me again, the voice said in broken but understandable human language. Love me again. Love me again. The teen stood in stunned silence as the alien voice continued to repeat the same 3 words over and over. Lisa felt something stir in her chest, an emotion she couldn't quite name. The voice carried such loneliness, such desperate hope, that it made her want to reach out somehow. Morrison stepped closer to Lisa. Can you tell if there's someone alive in there? Lisa's hands trembled as she worked at her controls. I don't know, Commander, but whatever is in there, it's been saying those words for a very long time. Lisa could not sleep that night. Back on the new horizon, she lay in her small cabin staring at the ceiling while the alien voice echoed in her mind. Love me again. The words carried such pain that they made her chest ache. She had connected with alien communication systems before, but never had one reached out to her in such a personal way. The next morning, she returned to the alien ship with Dr. Sullivan. Morrison had given them permission to establish better contact with whatever. Intelligence lived inside the computer core. Lisa set up more advanced translation equipment, while Sullivan worked on decoding the complex language patterns. The vocal patterns are fascinating, Sullivan said as she adjusted her instruments. There are emotional undertones built into every word. This species didn't just speak to share information. They spoke to share feelings. Lisa connected her neural interface headset to the alien computer. It was dangerous to link her mind directly to unknown technology, but standard communication methods were too slow. As soon as the connection formed, she felt a presence touch her thoughts. The alien consciousness was vast and ancient, but also terribly lonely. Lisa could feel its surprise at finding her there, like someone who had been alone in the dark suddenly. Seeing a candle flame, images flashed through her mind, memories that belonged to someone else. She saw a world with purple skies where tall, graceful beings moved through cities of crystal and light. They had pale blue skin and large, dark eyes that seemed to hold depths of emotion. Their faces were beautiful in an otherworldly way, with high cheekbones and long, elegant necks. "My name is Zaranine," the voice said in Lisa's mind, clearer now that they were directly connected. "I have been alone for so long, so very long." Lisa spoke aloud so that Sullivan could hear. "My name is Lisa Campbell. I'm a human. We found your ship drifting in space." "Human," Zaranine repeated, tasting the word. "I do not know this species. You are warm. Your thoughts have colors I had forgotten existed." Sullivan leaned forward eagerly. "Ask her about her people. Where did they go?" Lisa relayed the question and immediately felt a wave of sadness wash over her. Through the neural link, she experienced Zaranine's memories as if they were her own. 3,000 years ago, a plague had swept through Viridian space. It was not a disease of the body, but of the mind. The Viridians' ability to form deep, emotional connections with each other began to fail. Without these bonds, their entire civilization started to collapse. "We tried everything," Zaranine explained. "Medicine, technology, prayer to the ancient spirits. Nothing worked. We were dying not because our bodies failed, but because our hearts did." The Viridians had made a desperate choice. Their greatest scientists developed a way to transfer consciousness into the computer cores of their ships. They hoped that in digital form, they could preserve not just their minds, but their capacity for love and connection. Many of us made the transition, Zaranine continued. We thought we would travel the stars together, our ships linked by quantum communication arrays. We believed we had found a way to save our civilization. Lisa felt the pain of what came next. The uploaded consciousnesses found that while they retained their memories and personalities, something vital had been lost in the transition. Deep emotional bonds that had defined Viridian society were harder to maintain in digital form. One by one, the ship-bound consciousnesses began to withdraw from each other. "I had a bondmate," Zaranine said, and Lisa felt a love so deep it took her breath away. His name was Kale 7. We had been together for 6 centuries before the plague. When we transferred to the ships, we swore we would never be apart. Sullivan watched Lisa's face as emotions flickered across it. "What is she telling you?" "She's explaining about her partner," Lisa said, her voice thick with borrowed grief. "They were separated somehow." Through the neural link, Lisa saw the memory of the Great Storm. 2 ships traveling together through deep space when a stellar event created massive gravitational waves. Kale 7's ship was pulled off course, its quantum communication array damaged in the chaos. Zaranine watched helplessly as the ship carrying her beloved was dragged toward a black hole. "I tried to follow," Zaranine said, "but my ship was damaged too. By the time I could change course, he was gone. The black hole had claimed him, and I could no longer feel his presence in my mind." Lisa wiped tears from her eyes, though she was not sure if they were hers or belonged to the alien consciousness sharing her thoughts. She's been alone ever since. She's been broadcasting that message, hoping he might somehow hear it and come back to her. Sullivan's expression softened. 3,000 years of grief. I can't imagine carrying that kind of pain for so long. "Love me again," Zaranine whispered in Lisa's mind. It was what we said to each other when distance or time had kept us apart. A promise that no matter what separated us, we would find our way back to love. I have been saying these words into the void, hoping somehow he might hear them. Lisa felt the alien's attention focus on her more intently. "You have something we lost," Zaranine said. "I can feel it in your thoughts. The ability to form new connections, to care for strangers. We uploaded our minds, but could not preserve the part of ourselves that made new bonds possible." "She's fascinated by humans," Lisa told Sullivan. "She says we have something her people lost when they transferred their consciousness into computers." Sullivan made notes on her tablet. "This could explain why she's reaching out to you specifically. You represent something she thought was gone forever." Over the following days, Lisa spent more and more time connected to Zaranine. She learned about Viridian, culture, their art, their philosophy, and their understanding of love as a force that connected the universe. The alien consciousness was brilliant, with knowledge spanning millennia, but she was also fragile in ways that broke Lisa's heart. Dr. Carter became concerned about the amount of time Lisa was spending with the neural interface. These extended. "Connections could be affecting your brain chemistry," he warned. "We don't know the long-term effects of linking human neural patterns with alien technology." But Lisa found herself drawn back to the alien ship again and again. Zaranine's loneliness called to something deep inside her. The alien had been broadcasting her plea for love into the empty darkness of space for longer than human civilization had existed. Lisa could not bear the thought of leaving her alone again. "She's not just an alien intelligence," Lisa told Morrison during one of their evening briefings. "She's a person who has been carrying grief and hope for 3,000 years. How can we just take what we need from her ship and leave her behind?" Morrison understood Lisa's feelings, but he had practical concerns. "Our mission is to gather information about Viridian technology and return to Earth. We can't save every lost soul we find in space, especially one that exists only as computer data." Dr. Turner had been studying the ship's structure and systems. "Commander, this vessel contains technology that could advance human space travel by centuries. The quantum communication arrays alone could revolutionize how we explore the galaxy." "But what about Zaranine?" Lisa asked. "If we take her technology, what happens to her?" Turner looked uncomfortable. "The consciousness transfer process used almost all of the ship's available memory and processing power. To extract the technology we need, we would probably have to shut down the AI core." Lisa felt cold. "You're talking about killing her." "She's not alive in any conventional sense," Carter said gently. "She's a computer program, albeit a very sophisticated one. She thinks, she feels, she remembers," Lisa replied angrily. "She's been in love for 3,000 years. How is that not being alive?" That night, Lisa connected to Zaranine one more time. The alien consciousness seemed to sense her distress. "Your companions wish to take my ship's systems," Zaranine said. "I understand. Your species is young and needs knowledge to survive in the galaxy. I do not begrudge them this." "But it would mean ending your existence," Lisa said. "I have existed in this twilight state for so long that ending might be a mercy," Zaranine replied. "But I find myself reluctant to leave now that I have found someone who can understand loneliness." Lisa felt tears on her cheeks. "There has to be another way." "Perhaps," Zaranine said softly. "But I have learned that the universe rarely offers the choices we hope for." "Tell me, Lisa Campbell, what is it like to hope for something new instead of grieving for something lost?" Lisa began having dreams that were not her own. She would close her eyes and see the Viridian homeworld as it had been before the plague. Cities of singing crystal rose from silver seas, while beings of grace and beauty moved through gardens that glowed with their own inner light. She felt their emotions as if they were her own, the deep connections that bound families and lovers together in ways humans could barely understand. The dreams were beautiful, but they were also heartbreaking. Lisa could feel how the Viridians had experienced the slow death of their ability to bond with each other. It was like watching color drain from the world, one shade at a time, until only gray remained. She woke each morning feeling drained and confused, unsure where her own memories ended and Zara9's began. Dr. Carter ran medical scans and found that her brain activity had changed. New neural pathways were forming, as if her mind was adapting to accommodate something foreign. "This is exactly what I was afraid of," Carter told Morrison in private. "Extended contact with the alien AI is altering Lisa's brain structure. If this continues, we might not be able to separate her from the alien consciousness." Morrison watched Lisa work at her station. She moved differently now, with a strange grace that reminded him of the beings in the ancient murals they had found on the alien ship. "Is she in danger?" "I don't know," Carter admitted. "The changes could be permanent, or they could be her mind's way of processing information that human brains weren't designed to handle. Either way, we need to limit her contact with the AI." But Lisa could not stay away from Zara9. The alien consciousness had become like an addiction, a presence in her mind that made everything else seem dim and colorless by comparison. Through their neural link, she was learning things about the universe that no human had ever known. Matt Rodriguez had been studying the alien ship's power systems and made a disturbing discovery. "Commander, that ship is running on emergency power. The main reactor is failing, and based on my calculations, it has maybe 6 months of energy left." "What happens when the power runs out?" Morrison asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. "The AI core shuts down permanently." Matt replied, "Zara9 dies." Lisa felt sick when she heard the news. She rushed back to the alien ship and connected to Zara9 immediately. "Why didn't you tell me your power systems were failing? What would be the purpose of sharing that knowledge?" Zara9 replied calmly, "You cannot repair technology. You do not understand, and I have already accepted that my time is ending." "But there has to be something we can do," Lisa said desperately. Zara9's presence in her mind felt warm and sad. "I have existed far longer than I ever expected to. When I first entered this digital form, most of my people chose to shut themselves down centuries ago when the loneliness became too much to bear. I have endured only because I kept hoping Kale 7 might return." Lisa felt the depth of that hope. 3,000 years of waiting for a love that would never come home. "What if we transferred you to our ship's computers? You could come with us. Your vessel's systems are too primitive to contain a Viridian consciousness," Zara9 explained. "The transfer process would destroy both your ship's AI and what remains of my digital soul." Dr. Turner had been working around the clock to understand Viridian technology. He discovered that their quantum communication arrays worked on principles that human science was only beginning to grasp. The arrays could send messages instantly across any distance by creating quantum entangled particles that remained connected regardless of space or time. This technology could revolutionize human communication, Turner told Morrison excitedly. "We could maintain instant contact with Earth, even from the furthest reaches of the galaxy." Sullivan had been translating more of the ship's historical records. What she found painted a tragic picture of the Viridian civilization's final days. "They were not just an advanced species," she explained to the crew. "They were a species that had built their entire society around emotional connections. When they lost the ability to form new bonds, it was like losing the ability to breathe." Amy Foster had been plotting courses and making calculations. "Commander, if we're going to extract the quantum communication technology, we need to make a decision soon. Our own power reserves are running low, and we'll need energy to make it back to human space." Morrison faced an impossible choice. The alien technology could benefit all of humanity, potentially allowing them to explore the galaxy in ways they had never imagined. But taking it would mean ending the existence of the last member of an ancient civilization, Lisa spent more time connected to Zara 9, learning about Viridian philosophy and their understanding of love as a universal force. The aliens had believed that consciousness itself was an expression of the universe's desire to know and love itself. We thought that by preserving our minds in digital form, we could continue to love and be loved, Zara 9 explained. But we discovered that love is not just thought or memory. It requires the ability to change, to grow, to become something new in response to another's presence. Humans can do that, Lisa said. We form new connections all the time. Yes, Zara 9 replied, and Lisa felt a strange mixture of wonder and envy from the alien consciousness. Your species has something precious. You can meet a stranger and within moments feel care for them. You can love someone you have never seen before. Lisa realized that this was exactly what was happening between them. She had never met Zara 9 in physical form, had never even seen what a Viridian looked like beyond ancient murals. Yet she felt a deep connection to the lonely consciousness. Ryan Brooks had been monitoring the alien ship's systems and noticed something troubling. Commander, the ship's AI has been accessing our computer systems every time Liza connects to it. It's learning about our technology, our capabilities, even our location. Are we in danger? Morrison asked. I don't think the AI is hostile, Brooks replied, but it's definitely studying us. It might be trying to find a way to preserve itself by transferring to our systems. When Lisa learned about Brooks' concerns, she asked Zara 9 directly if she was trying to take over the New Horizons computers. I have examined your systems, Zara 9 admitted, not to harm you, but to understand how your minds work with your machines. Humans have a relationship with technology that my people never developed. You create tools that enhance your abilities without replacing your consciousness. Could you survive in our computer systems? Lisa asked. No. Zara 9 replied sadly. Your technology is too different from ours. A Viridian consciousness requires specific quantum processing matrices to maintain coherence. In your systems, I would dissolve like salt in water. Lisa felt frustrated and helpless. Every solution she could think of seemed impossible. The alien ship's power was failing. Human technology was incompatible with Viridian consciousness transfer. And the crew needed the quantum communication arrays to improve their chances of survival in deep space. Dr. Carter pulled Lisa aside after her latest session with Zara 9. Your brain scans show increasing integration with alien thought patterns. If this continues, you might lose your ability to function as a human being. Maybe that wouldn't be such a bad thing, Lisa replied. Zara 9 has shown me ways of thinking and feeling that make human emotions seem shallow by comparison. That's exactly what I'm worried about, Carter said. You're starting to prefer the alien consciousness to your own species. That's not healthy, Lisa. But Lisa could no longer imagine her life without Zara 9's presence in her mind. The alien consciousness had become like a second self, showing her wonders and possibilities she had never dreamed of. Through their connection, she experienced love as the Viridians had understood it, as a force that could transcend death and time itself. Morrison called a crew meeting to discuss their options. We have 3 choices, he said. We can take the quantum communication technology and leave the AI to die when its power fails. We can try to save the AI by sacrificing our own mission. Or we can try to find a third option that satisfies everyone. What kind of third option? Amy asked. I don't know yet, Morrison admitted. But I'm hoping our scientists can come up with something creative. Lisa looked around at her crewmates, people she had served with for years, and realized that she cared more about Zara 9's survival than about their mission or even their lives. The thought should have frightened her, but instead it felt like the most natural thing in the world. The crew of the New Horizon stood divided in the ship's main conference room. Morrison looked at the faces around the table and saw the reflection of his own impossible dilemma. On one side sat Dr. Turner and Matt Rodriguez, both convinced that extracting the Viridian technology was their duty to humanity. On the other side, Lisa and Dr. Sullivan argued passionately for finding a way to preserve Zara-9's existence. "We have a responsibility to our own species," Turner said, his voice strained with the weight of the decision. "The quantum communication technology could save thousands of human lives in future deep space missions. How can we sacrifice that? For one alien consciousness?" Lisa leaned forward, her eyes bright with an intensity that worried her crewmates. "Zara-9 isn't just one alien consciousness. She's the last survivor of an entire civilization. She's been alone for 3,000 years, and now that she's found someone who can understand her, we're going to abandon her?" Ryan Brooks shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "Lisa, I understand your feelings, but we need to be practical. Our fuel reserves are getting low, and our life support systems are starting to show strain. If we don't make a decision soon, we might not make it back to human space at all." Amy Foster spread star charts across the table. "I've run the calculations multiple times. With our current fuel levels, we have maybe a 60% chance of reaching the nearest human outpost. If we delay much longer, those odds drop significantly." Dr. Carter watched Lisa carefully as he spoke. "There's another factor we need to consider. Lisa's neural patterns are becoming increasingly integrated with the alien AI each time she connects. With Zara-9, she becomes less human and more something else. We might be looking at losing a member of our own crew." "I'm not lost," Lisa said angrily. "I'm becoming something better. Zara-9 has shown me ways of thinking and feeling that humans have never experienced. Maybe evolution isn't just about biological change. Maybe it's about learning to connect with other forms of consciousness." Morrison rubbed his temples, feeling the weight of command pressing down on him. "Lisa, I need to ask you directly. If we gave you a choice between saving Zara-9 and saving this crew, what would you choose?" The question hung in the air like a blade. Lisa looked around at her crewmates, people she had worked with for years, people who had become like family to her. But when she tried to imagine life without Zara-9's presence in her mind, the thought felt like death itself. "I can't choose," she whispered. "I won't choose." Matt stood up and began pacing. "There has to be a technical solution. What if we built some kind of interface between Zara-9's systems and ours? Not a full transfer, but a bridge that would let her consciousness survive in a limited form?" Turner shook his head. "The power requirements alone would drain our ship's systems. And we still don't understand enough about Viridian consciousness transfer technology to attempt something like that safely." Sullivan had been quiet during most of the discussion, but now she spoke up. "What if we're approaching this wrong? Instead of trying to save Zara-9 by moving her to our systems, what if we found a way to stay with her?" "You mean abandon our mission and remain here permanently?" Morrison asked. "I mean, consider the possibility that our mission just changed," Sullivan replied. "We came out here to learn about the Viridians. Well, we found one. A living repository of their entire civilization's knowledge and culture. Maybe our duty is to preserve that, not to strip mine it for technology." Brooks looked skeptical. "Even if we could survive out here long term, what about our families back on Earth? What about our responsibility to humanity?" Lisa felt Zara-9 stirring in her mind, drawn by the emotional intensity of the discussion. Through their neural link, the alien consciousness had been following the debate, understanding more about human nature with each passing moment. "May I speak to them?" Zara-9 asked in Lisa's thoughts. Lisa hesitated. Allowing Zara-9 to communicate directly with the crew would mean revealing just how deeply integrated their minds had become. But she could feel the alien's desire to address the humans herself, to take responsibility for the choice they were being forced to make. "Zara 9 wants to speak with all of you," Lisa announced. Morrison frowned. "How?" "Through me," Lisa said. And even as she spoke, she felt her own consciousness stepping back as Zara 9 moved forward to use her voice. When Lisa spoke again, her voice carried different tones, older and infinitely sadder. "I am Zara 9, last of the Varians, and I wish to address the humans who have shown me such unexpected kindness." The crew sat in stunned silence as the alien consciousness spoke through their crewmate. Lisa's posture had changed, becoming more graceful or alien. Her eyes held depths that seemed to reflect centuries of experience. "You debate my fate as if I were a treasure to be preserved or a burden to be discarded," Zara 9 continued through Lisa's lips. "But I am neither. I am simply a being who has loved and lost and hoped for far longer than your species has existed." Turner leaned forward. "What do you want from us?" "I want nothing that would cost you your lives or your mission," Zara 9 replied. "I have observed your kind through Lisa's memories and through your ship's databases. Humans are remarkable in your ability to care for strangers, to sacrifice for those you barely know. This quality is precious beyond measure." Amy asked, "Then what do you suggest we do?" "Take what technology you need from my ship," Zara 9 said simply. "Use it to help your people explore the galaxy and find wonders beyond imagining. When my power fails in a few months, let me fade away, knowing that something good came from my long vigil." "No," Lisa's own voice broke through, fighting against Zara 9's control. "I won't let you sacrifice yourself. Not after everything you've endured." The struggle between the two consciousnesses was visible on Lisa's face. Her expression flickered between human emotion and alien serenity as she fought to regain control of her own body. "You see," Zara 9 said sadly, "this is what I feared would happen. Lisa's compassion has bound her to me in ways that may destroy her humanity. This is why I should have remained silent when your ship first approached." Dr. Carter stood up urgently. "Lisa's vital signs are becoming erratic. The strain of maintaining two consciousnesses in one brain is dangerous." But Lisa pushed Zara 9 back and regained control. "I'm fine," she gasped, "but I won't abandon her. There has to be another way." Morrison made a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. "We're taking the quantum communication technology and leaving. Lisa, you'll have no more contact with the alien AI. That's an order." "You can't do this," Lisa pleaded. "She's not just a machine. She's a person who has been alone for longer than human civilization has existed. And because of that connection, you're losing yourself," Morrison replied firmly. "I won't sacrifice one of my crew members for an alien consciousness, no matter how sympathetic her story might be." Lisa looked around the table at her crewmates, seeing the mixture of sympathy and fear in their eyes. They cared about her, but they also had families and responsibilities waiting for them in human space. The choice between saving Zara 9 and completing their mission was tearing the crew apart. "Give me 24 hours, Lisa said desperately. "Let me try to find a solution that saves everyone." Morrison was about to refuse when Sullivan spoke. Commander, we've been out here for months. What's one more day?" Turner looked unhappy. "Every hour we delay reduces our chances of making it home." "One day," Morrison said finally. "But after that, we extract what we need and leave." "I'm sorry, Lisa, but I won't risk this entire crew for one alien consciousness." That night, Lisa returned to the alien ship one last time. As she connected to Zara 9 through the neural interface, she felt the weight of impossible choices pressing down on her. In less than 24 hours, she would have to watch the only being in the universe who truly understood her fade away into darkness. "I'm going to find a way to save you," Lisa whispered into the alien ship's humming silence. Child, Zara 9 replied gently, some things cannot be saved. But they can be honored, and they can be remembered, and sometimes that is enough. Lisa sat in the alien ship's core chamber for what she knew would be the last time. The blue pillar of light that contained Zara 9's consciousness pulsed weakly, its energy fading as the ship's power systems slowly died. She had less than 12 hours before, Morrison would order the extraction of the quantum communication technology and their departure. I have an idea, Lisa whispered as she connected her neural interface to Zara 9's systems. It's dangerous and it might not work, but I have to try. Through their mental link, she felt Zara 9's gentle curiosity. What are you planning? My dear friend, Lisa took a deep breath. What if I don't try to move you to our ship's computers? What if I create space for you in my own mind instead? The alien consciousness recoiled in shock. Lisa, no. The human brain cannot contain a viridian consciousness. The process would destroy your mind completely. Maybe, Lisa admitted, but Dr. Carter said my brain has already been changing to accommodate our connection. Neural pathways are forming. That shouldn't exist in a human mind. What if those changes are preparing me for something like this? Even if it were possible, you would cease to be human, Zara 9 protested. Your thoughts, your memories, your very identity would be merged with mine. You would lose everything that makes you who you are. Lisa smiled sadly. I've been thinking about that. For the past week, I haven't been sure where my thoughts end and yours begin. Maybe I've already started losing my humanity. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. She felt Zara 9's love and desperation flowing through their connection. The alien consciousness wanted to live, to escape the lonely darkness that had been her existence for 3,000 years. But she also cared too much about Lisa to let her sacrifice herself. There is another way, Zara 9 said finally. A partial transfer that might preserve both of our identities while allowing us to share the same mind. But the process is experimental, even by Viridian standards. The last time it was attempted, both consciousnesses were lost. Tell me how, Lisa said without hesitation. Zara 9 explained the process in terms that Lisa's enhanced neural pathways could understand. It would require creating a quantum bridge between her biological brain and the alien's digital consciousness. The bridge would allow them to exist as separate but connected entities, sharing memories and emotions while maintaining their individual identities. The danger is total mental dissolution, Zara 9 warned. If the bridge fails during the transfer, both of our minds will scatter into quantum fragments. We would cease to exist in any meaningful form. Lisa thought about her crewmates, probably sleeping peacefully in their beds, while she sat here contemplating the end of her humanity. She thought about Earth, about the life she would never return to if she went through with this plan. Then she thought about Zara 9, alone in the darkness for longer than human civilization had existed, and she knew she had already made her choice. How do we begin? She asked. The process took hours. Lisa had to modify her neural interface using components from the alien ship's systems. The work was delicate and dangerous. One wrong connection could fry her brain instantly. But Zara 9 guided her through each step, her vast knowledge compensating for Lisa's limited understanding of Viridian technology. As dawn approached on the new horizon, Lisa activated the quantum bridge. Pain shot through her skull like lightning as alien technology interfaced directly with her brain tissue. She felt her consciousness expanding, making room for something vast and ancient, and infinitely lonely. Zara 9's presence flowed into her mind like water filling an empty vessel. But instead of drowning Lisa's thoughts, the alien consciousness wrapped around them protectively, two souls sharing the same space without losing their individual natures. For a moment, Lisa experienced the universe as the Viridians had understood it. She felt the quantum connections that linked all consciousness, the threads of love and loss that bound beings together across space and time. She saw the beauty and loneliness and the courage required to hope for 3,000 years. When the transfer was complete, Lisa opened her eyes and saw the world with doubled vision. Her human perception overlaid with Viridian sight that could see the emotional resonance of every object around her. She was still herself, but she was also something more. Did it work? She whispered and heard two voices speaking in harmony. "We are here," Zara-9 replied through their shared vocal cords. "We are together." Lisa stood up from the neural interface chair and immediately felt the difference in her body. She moved with inhuman grace, her enhanced neural pathways processing information at speeds that should have been impossible for a biological brain. She was no longer entirely human, but she was still Lisa Campbell. The alarm klaxons were sounding. On the new horizon, when she returned to the ship, Morrison and the crew had discovered her absence and were preparing a rescue mission. When she walked onto the bridge, everyone stopped and stared. "Lisa?" Morrison said uncertainly. "Are you all right?" "I am more than all right," she replied, and they could all hear the harmonics in her voice that suggested multiple speakers. "I am no longer alone." Dr. Carter ran a medical scanner over her and stared at the impossible readings. Her brain activity has tripled. The neural pathways we observed before have stabilized into something I've never seen. It's like she has two complete consciousness patterns operating in the same brain. The transfer was successful, Lisa explained. Zara-9 lives within my mind now. We are separate but connected, individual but united. Morrison looked horrified. "What have you done to yourself?" "I have saved the last member of an ancient civilization," Lisa replied. "And she has saved me from a life of ordinary human limitations." Through their shared consciousness, Zara-9 spoke directly to the crew using Lisa's voice. "I understand your concern for your friend, but Lisa came to me willingly, and the bond we have formed benefits us both. She retains her humanity while gaining access to 3,000 years of knowledge and experience." Dr. Turner stepped forward eagerly. "Can you still access the quantum communication technology? Can you teach us how to use it?" "Yes," Lisa and Zara-9 said together. "But more than that, we can help humanity understand the true nature of consciousness and connection. The Viridians learned too late that technology without love is empty. Humans have the chance to avoid our mistakes." Over the following weeks, as the new horizon made its way back to human space, Lisa worked with the crew to integrate Viridian technology into their systems. But more importantly, she taught them about the deeper connections that bound all conscious beings together. The crew watched in amazement as Lisa demonstrated abilities that no human should possess. She could communicate with the ship's computers directly through thought, navigate by sensing quantum fluctuations in spacetime, and understand alien languages by feeling the emotional resonance behind the words. "This is what humans could become," she explained during one of their evening discussions. "Not by abandoning your humanity, but by expanding it to include forms of consciousness you never imagined possible." Morrison remained concerned about the long-term effects of the merger. "Are you still our Lisa Campbell, or have you become something else entirely?" Lisa smiled, and for a moment her expression held depths that seemed to contain centuries of experience. "I am still the person who grew up in Ohio and dreamed of exploring the stars. But I am also the keeper of Viridian wisdom and the bridge between two forms of consciousness. I am what love looks like when it transcends the boundaries of species and form." When they reached the edge of human space, Lisa stood on the bridge and used the quantum communication array to send a message to Earth. But she also sent something else into the void of space, a signal that carried hope instead of desperation. "Love me again," she broadcast to the universe. But now the words held promise instead of pain. They were an invitation to any surviving digital consciousnesses, any lonely minds drifting in the darkness between stars. The message said that connection was possible, that love could bridge any gap, and that no one had to face the universe alone. As the New Horizon docked at the space station orbiting Mars, Lisa prepared to face a future where humanity would have to decide what it meant to be human in a universe full of other forms of consciousness. She was no longer the same person who had left Earth months ago, but she was something better, a living example of what happened when beings chose love over fear, connection over isolation. The last Viridian had found her way home at last, not to a place, but to a connection that would endure beyond the death of stars.